20 mind-blowing archaeological finds from China. China is one of the world's earliest civilizations, and archaeologists have never been disappointed with the finds that have been unearthed there. Archaeological evidence suggests that hominids lived in China between 2.24 million and 2,500,000 years ago, and Chinese tradition claims that the first dynasty was the Shah, which came into being around 2100 BCE. Today we look at but a few incredible finds. Number 20. Ancient Chinese Secret. You've more than likely heard of the Terracotta Warrior Army site, but in case you haven't, don't stress, we'll touch on it later. Since that discovery, researchers have been excavating the number 1 pit since 2009, and while doing so, found an old crossbow in perfect condition that's roughly 2,200 years old. This is the most complete crossbow they've ever found and has a 57-inch arch, and the bowstring, still intact, is 51 inches long. The string is believed to be made from animal tendon, which is why it survived for so long. Number 19. Ancient History. Renovations were needing to be done to the Hongmen Dam in Nanchang County in 2016, and in order to do so, the water levels had to be lowered. As the levels were dropping, it was hard not to notice the face of Buddha emerging. It's over 12 feet tall, and it's been placed in the Ming Dynasty period, 1368 to 1644, judging by the style of the carving and the inscriptions on it. When the water was drained further, they also found a room around 165 square meters, and it's believed the area used to be a temple, which local records quickly confirmed thereafter. The temple stood at the intersection of 2 rivers, and when the reservoir was constructed, the temple and its surrounds were flooded. Number 18. Mystery solved. This one isn't so much a concrete find, but it does solve a long-standing mystery. It's always been a mystery as to how the ancient people of the Forbidden City in Beijing managed to transport the massive stones weighing as much as 330 tons across 43 miles. Built between 1406 and 1420, the Forbidden City Palace was declared a World Heritage Site in 1987. Zhang Li, an engineer, managed to translate a 500-year-old document which solved the mystery. The giant stones were slid on makeshift sleds, and the teams of men would create slippery paths of wet ice to make it easier to pull them. Had they tried to do it over plain ice, it would take 338 men to pull the boulder, but by making it wet, only required 46 men to complete the grueling task. Number 17. Long ago. This find occurred in 1973, where farmers from the Hemudu village accidentally made an incredible discovery. It's said that farmers were building drainage facilities in the village when they came upon this ancient site. It's different from any other Chinese discovery in that it dates back to between 6,000 and 7,000 years ago. The Hemudu culture, who once lived there, are thought to be the first to cultivate rice, and it's suggested that they left to go to Taiwan and eventually immigrated to places like Southeast Asia, New Zealand, and even Madagascar. Number 16. The Cradle of History. An incredible discovery, purely by chance, happened in the city of Taizhou in the Jiangsu province. Road workers were busy working when they came upon a mummy and 2 other coffins a few feet under the ground. The mummy's coffin was filled with a brown liquid, keeping her very well preserved. It's thought she was a high-ranking woman from the Ming Dynasty, judging by her clothing and the ring that was still intact on her finger. Number 15. The rest is history. Archaeologists discovered a state-level venue which they believe was used by ancient emperors as a sacrificial site. They're thrilled because it's shedding light on information about the dynasty of the time, and of course, ancient Chinese rituals. This sacrificial site has been named Yangshan Blood Pool and is quite close to the Yongcheng ruins, thought to be the capital of the state of Qin around 770 and 221 BC. 2,109 relics were found, but what was most disturbing was the number of horse skeletons found, proving that large-scale horse slaughtering took place there. Number 14. Earth, Wind, and Fire. The Peking Man was first discovered in 1923 in modern Beijing, our human ancestors that lived between 750,000 and 200,000 years ago. Archaeologists spent 3 years excavating the fossil site, which is located in the western suburbs of Beijing. It's been confirmed that the Peking Man most certainly created his own fire to cook his food with, and that the fire remnants in that area were not naturally made, as initially thought. Number 13. Put the clock back. Weather plays one of the most important roles in any society, today and in years gone by. The Qinling Mountains in central China got most of its rain in the summer, which goes on to provide local rivers with their water supply. Researchers found a particular cave with inscriptions showing that over the course of 500 years, it was visited 70 times, and it detailed 7 droughts between 1528 and 1894. Inscriptions shared stories of how locals would follow their leaders in the hopes of finding water, and how they would all pray in the hope that it would bring in the rain. There's an old theory which claims that global warming destabilized the Chinese community to such a degree that the Tang, Yuan, and Ming dynasties all crumbled, and now people are believing that to be true, thanks to this incredible find. Number 12. Many moons ago. Considered one of the top 10 archaeological discoveries in China in the 20th century are the tombs of Han in Menchang. Built for King Liu Sheng, the tombs were discovered in 1968. There were 2 of them, and they were the first royal Western Han tombs to be found that were undisturbed. Among many beautiful findings were 2 sets of jade clothing stitched with gold thread, a gold inlaid furnace, and a Chongshin Palace lantern, all of which are kept at the Hebei Provincial Museum. Number 11. Aladdin's Cave. Exploring the tomb of ancient Chinese King Liu Fei must have felt like being in Aladdin's Cave. It was explored between 2009 and 2011, and this king, who had been placed in the tomb in 128 BC, was exceptionally wealthy. 100,000 coins were found, bits of silver, gold, and bronze also discovered, plenty of chariots, and the only jade coffin to have remained intact since people have started finding ancient tombs. Number 10. Salt of the earth. Salt is a staple in any home around the world, and even those living during the Tang Dynasty have to agree. An ancient salt boiling site was excavated in Hebei. The site is located fairly close to the ancient Maritime Silk Road trade route. Archaeologists found round and oval burning sites with plant ash and red clay, which is thought to be the stoves they used to extract the mineral. Number 9. Game on. Close to Qinshu City is a huge tomb that has been looted by thieves for a long time, but despite the purging, one item was just never removed, and that's probably because none of the looters realized its value. It was a rare game called Bow. Granted, the pieces were all over the place, but once they were placed together, it was easy to identify it. The game would have included 21 pieces, rectangular in shape and numbered. There was a die that was made from an animal tooth with 14 sides. No one is quite sure of the rules, as the game faded away around 1500 years ago. The only information we have is that it was a 2-player game of strategy, maybe similar to today's chess. Number 8. A brief history. We promised we would include the incredible Terracotta Army for you in this list, and it's a discovery that many consider the highlight of all the discoveries made in China. The founder of the Qin Dynasty was Emperor Qin Shi Huangdi. He's the guy responsible for the Great Wall of China. When he was placed in his tomb, he wasn't alone and took an army of terracotta soldiers with him to protect him in the afterlife. There were literally thousands of them, and his burial complex is the largest in the world. It's believed it took 700,000 people 30 years to complete it, and some suggest it wasn't 100% complete when they needed to use it. Number 7. Years gone by. In North China's Hebei province, 113 tombs were unearthed that are estimated to be more than 2,000 years old. It's believed that this area is the site of an ancient city called Fudi. There were human remains found, and they had been buried using a method known as urn burials. The corpses were wrapped inside 2 or 3 large clay containers, either urns, pots, or bowls, and then a small hole would be made on the side, allowing the spirit to come and go as they please. Number 6. Good old days. The treasure pictured here was unearthed from the tomb of Fu Hao. It's a cooking utensil that was used in the Shang Dynasty, 1766 to 1122 BC, and it looks quite a lot like our gas cookers from today. There are holes in the middle to allow the steam to pass, and it was capable of cooking several meals at one time. Pretty efficient, wouldn't you say? Number 5. Hooked on polo. It's always been taken as a given that polo began in Persia around 2600 years ago, but that could be changing. Archaeologists have found sports equipment indicating that the sport could have been played in China 2800 years ago. They found 3 balls, sticks, and sheepskin tightly wrapped with wool and leather. The area where the discovery was made also held bodies of a light-haired and more fair-skinned people, believed to have enjoyed the sport all those years ago. Number 4. It's really great. Like, really great. The Great Wall of China is now even greater. A new part of the wall was discovered and is said to stretch into Mongolia. This particular section was lost for 1,000 years and was spotted via Google Earth. The new section is 62 miles long and is thought to have been built to hold back the Mongols. Investigations continue. Number 3. Blast from the past. Another interesting find for archaeologists was 5 ancient wooden chariots in perfect condition, along with 12 horse skeletons dating back to 650 BC, which was during the Zhou Dynasty. They were all inside a tomb pit, which researchers believe was placed there as funeral rites for a minister or nobleman around 2,500 years ago. Number 2. Not much has changed. This creepy looking find pictured here was a little gadget that parents used to get their kids to swallow their medicine. You see, not much has changed from then until now. Number 1. Copycat. This was an incense burner from the Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907 AD, and it wouldn't spill anything, no matter which way you rolled it. Kind of makes you think of those plastic bowls you get for kids now, called the gyro bowl. Same concept, really. Thanks so much for watching our video. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more daily videos.